Alrighty, good morning guys. We are 4 AM and we're going on a dive, meeting up with some of the local boys here in Fiji, and we're gonna get wet, so come with. Alright, so we've arrived at the boat ramp, just about to get geared up, load up, and away we go. We've got the serious trained killer. Alright guys, so I'll introduce you to the divers one by one. First up, no other than Mr. Rona. What are we getting today, bro?
Hopefully some mackies, coral trout, reefs. Hopefully we just see a doggy. We don't shoot a doggy. We don't have any setup for doggy.
We're going to take a risk on the reels, I think. If a doggy comes across, we'll take a crack at it anyways. But
with his gun, not mine.
Be good. Yeah. And then we got Sam from Sunny Coast.
G'day, first time in Fiji, first time diving in Fiji. Keen as.
It's going to be good fun.
Yeah, super
and
exciting.
Your target for today is?
Anything big that swims.
Big. Anything big that swims. So next up we've got George. Woo! George, what are you targeting today?
I'm targeting yellowfin tuna.
Just yellowfin. Then we got Freddie.
Freddie.
What are we getting?
Doggies today.
Alright. So we're all hopeful for good fish. Let's see how we go. It's gonna be fun. So I've learned from my time in Fiji not to jinx the trip and not say that I'm targeting anything in particular, because of chances are I won't even see that target fish. Now, whilst none of us really expected to come across yellowfin or doggies, it's just fun to always have that in the back of your head that this could happen, because it could. For a change, I was actually the first person in the water. I was super keen on this dive.
Pretty nice.
Just, yeah, raring to go from the get-go. George is in the Salvamar. We load up and go. Just to give everybody a quick little thing, I rigged my bands up at gone midnight after a couple of beers. Don't do that. Never ever do that. And I can't believe I did that. The first of many sharks on this dive. Sharky spot. Freddie is in the hatch wetty. I couldn't believe my luck. I worked the reef as much as possible, working those edges, checking those shadow gaps. That's just the perfect hiding spot for a kawakawa or a brown marbled groper. And thankfully it paid off. I got my second opportunity on this guy. And I almost lost him. He completely slipped out of my hands whilst I was going to go for the inside of his gills. Cod and groper have got incredibly razor sharp, needle ridden gill rakers, so just be careful of those. And that's why I didn't get a proper grip on him. But I'm also diving without a knife, so my knife still hasn't been replaced from the one that was stolen, and I'm just relying on the boys or praying for stone shots.
Yeah! Good size. Thank you. No worries.
Worst case scenario, I can always grab it by the gills, take my spear out and drive the spear through the fish's head from the inside of the mouth. Luckily, Freddie's got my back. One a day will keep the hunger away.
This one's for you.
These fish are absolutely wicked eating, and they've become a favourite in Fiji. Here you can see some beautiful batfish. Now, I'd come down to film these batfish and this barracuda came in. I was hoping that like a mackerel or something would have come in instead, but this is what I was given, and given the fact that the captain loves them, I'm not going to turn it down. This is how the captain gets a decent feed. Put a nice shot into it, and as you can see, I'm looking around a bit for sharks because of this is a particularly sharky spot. It's well known for silver tips, for bull sharks, tiger sharks, you name it. The sharks that crunch, they're here. Straight after I land this in the boat and the captain takes away, this barracuda comes straight in towards me. He can obviously smell the fish guts and bloods from the previous barracuda and thought, I go check that out. That was a silly mistake for him to make. I flagged the boat back. Now the boys are sat about 40 meters away from me, but they're sat in front of the current, so swimming down to them is just not an option, so I'd rather just call the boat in, land the fish on the boat. We've got ice. Give this fish the attention that it properly needs. Bit of line management. Now this is hairy. After watching the Back to Basics video with Stricky, where he had his thumb pretty much bitten off, I've been super wary about fish and their teeth, so particularly the mackerel and the barracuda. I've never been bitten by a fish, but yeah, if you haven't watched that video, go check it out, it's ruthless. Okay, so this is a funny story, but it doesn't show much, but Sam was down checking out a cave and a massive mackerel came behind him and he didn't see it, so everybody dove down to try and shoot the mackerel, but it was gone long before anybody came close. This is Emperor. I believe it's a buffalo emperor. I took a long shot at it and I just missed. I was devastated. It would have been a wicked fish. Here's Sam coming up from one of his deep voyages. So this is possibly one of the most frustrating things that's ever happened, and it's happened to me like 2 or 3 times in my life spearfishing. So you get down on the bottom, you're chilling, everything's going right, you're stirring up a little bit of sand, making a few scratches, bringing in the fish, and you can see that there's red bass, emperor, moo, jobfish, all kinds of fish starting to make their way in, even some snapper down in the back. So this is great. Just hold on, bring in the fish. I probably would have had a crack at the emperor, and that's the fish that I really would have wanted to have taken a shot at. But I move my gun forward and I've got my finger on the trigger and it hits a bit of coral, and because I've already got my safety down and my finger on the trigger ready to shoot something, I hit my trigger and shoot nothing, spooking everything away. This spot was just absolutely going off. Now it was sharky as hell, there were bulls down there as well, grey reef and silver tips coming through, and obviously white tips, but the fish just wouldn't let you get anywhere close except for this guy. I cannot believe what happened on this shot. What? That is a crazy deflection from the mackerel. It's not fair is what it is. That mackerel definitely should have come home with me. I was so confused on the dive, I didn't realise it had deflected. I just thought that something had failed. But here you can see, diving back down to this, probably like 23, 24 meters, just heaps of fish. We deployed the flasher off a ridge that wasn't too far from there. It was a mad drop off. And all we got was sharks. The visibility went hairy and the current just kicked it up a notch, and yeah, we eventually just moved on with nothing really in sight other than silver tips, grey reefs, and that was it. Quick maintenance on the boat to fix my drunken mistake from the night before, and we're set. George making his way down to depth. Now I was really conscious not to dive down on him because I wasn't sure what fish he was after and I didn't want to spook it, but we ended up having to do a second dive down to recover the fish that had got holed up. Really important to be diving with your buddies here. Like, this would have been like 26 meters plus, I reckon, and yeah, things can go wrong at that kind of depth. They can go wrong at any depth, but it's great to have people on the top observing everything and take a diver down with you. If you've got men about, use them. That's just me checking along those edge lines to see if there's any peacock hind or coronation trout kind of hanging out. Rona's shot a lovely bluefin trevally, and George does a great job of keeping the white tip shark off it. Teamwork makes the dream work, as always. Freddy dives down deep for what I suspect is a coral trout. He takes a shot and unfortunately misses. So I quickly follow up, dive down and see if I can secure this fish into the esky for the boys. I come down and I can see a groper hanging out on the left hand side, just sticking his head out of a bit of reef, and then I can see the coral trout obviously on the right hand side. I've already got my groper for the day, so I line up the shot on the coral trout. Can you see the groper yet? Bingo. I can't believe how much this fish tore on a top down shot going straight through the fish. I literally ripped this guy open. This is like a prime eating coral trout size, especially when there's sig about. This is perfect. I'll never ever not be amazed by the colours of these fish.
I can't believe how
incredible and super tasty.
Oh, yeah.
We got a glass out which was incredible. Dove a new spot, and this was around like midday, so the fish action wasn't too hot, but we still managed to make a couple of fish work. Here I actually miss the pick handle that I was going for and I hit another guy in the tail. Feel a bit sorry for him getting a tail shot, but he'll get eaten all the same. I absolutely love it when they knock themselves up like this because it just means no escape. Alright, that's my last barracuda for the day, I swear. Here's George diving down. He uses a GoPro in one hand and a spear gun in the other. Here we can see a pesty white tip. Honestly, these guys, you've always got to check your back when you go past them because they'll snoop back in. And they are curious enough that they will have a little nibble at your fins, which we want to discourage. Here I'm just making my way along a deep drop off, working the line, just keeping my eye out for all kinds of trout and big groper at this depth. You expect to see large fish. I see this one lyre-tail and I take a shot and I miss, which is crap at depth. Luckily George spots another one up on the surface and dives down and gets him in shallower waters, but beautiful fish. These fish are aesthetically stunning, but they're also incredibly tasty, so if you see them, whack them. Here I'd seen a Bluefin Trevally come in close to me and bolt away towards George, so instead of me chasing after the fish, I just shouted out to George, "Hey, Bluefin coming your way." George tracked it down and placed an awesome long shot on it and secured the fish. Again, teamwork making the dream work. Here we have a lyre-tail. I dive all the way down to the bottom and decide not to take the shot. Thought it was a bit small. Here we moved inside the reef and the visibility was crap. I saw this jobby and was like, amazing, wicked green jobfish. I shoot it and it's a lot smaller than I thought it was, which is a massive surprise to me when I got it to the surface and I was like, hey, where'd my big fish go? But still, we moved to one last spot to chase some viz and not much was happening. There's a small tooth jobfish that's on the move here, but he doesn't want anything to do with me and just buggers off into the distance. After that I saw a coral trout hole up in this reef, but I couldn't get a shot on him due to my gun length. Calling it a day. Everyone's had a wicked day on the water, we're all a bit knackered and keen to get stuck into some fish. Rona putting on a fantastic Oprah show, reenacting the Titanic. Let me know in the comments section which fish you would eat out of that esky. Fish on, baby. today's catch.
Yung squid and doon dun. Rest yun George.
Eh? Total.
Right, smacked another Kalakaua. Stoked with him. I actually missed the first one because my band popped, and about 10 minutes later I got an opportunity on this fella and he got smacked. And then another fish that I'm pretty happy with today is this bloody fucker. Oi. Oh no. Great barracuda. What a beast. Pretty good. And then yeah, the rest of us did alright with different species. I also shot a little jobby that surprised me when I brought him up to the surface. I thought it was a lot bigger, but I'm still absolutely stoked with that, and delicious sashimi. Yum. Alrighty, so we've all just said our farewells and we're all off in different directions. Freddie is off to Brisbane tomorrow. Rona and George are off to Suva, and Sam is here for another few days, I think. And I'm off on a bit of a sneaky adventure, but you'll have to wait and find out why it's a sneaky adventure. But it was good fun. Amazing diving with the boys. It was the second time that I dove with George and Rona, but unfortunately GoPro mishaps wrecked the first time. Good old GoPros. So yeah, fingers crossed all this footage has come out good and you guys have enjoyed our dive day. It was an absolute blast. Good blokes and just, yeah, plenty of good fish.